Waitress fed crying baby, soothed like a mother. When the father saw it, everything changed. The sound of desperate crying cut through the elegant atmosphere of the restaurant like a sharp blade. The other guests began to glance uncomfortably as the man in the dark suit tried in vain to calm the child in his arms. It was when Jennifer Miller heard that cry that her heart tightened. The 28-year-old waitress was serving the next table when the maternal instinct she had been trying to suppress for 2 years came rushing back with full force. The baby in the businessman's arms was crying in a way she knew all too well, a cry of hunger mixed with desperation. "Excuse me, sir," she said, approaching the reserved table where Michael Thompson was trying to feed his 8-month-old son with a bottle. "Can I help?" Michael lifted his tired eyes to her. 3 months had passed since Elizabeth, his wife, had passed away, leaving him alone with little Ethan. The baby had cried all night, refusing every attempt to be fed. "I don't know what else to do," he confessed, his voice strained. "He won't take the bottle no matter what." Jennifer looked at the baby's red face, tears streaming down his chubby cheeks, and felt something stir inside her chest. It was the same expression her own son had when he was hungry. "May I try?" she asked, gently reaching out her arms. Michael hesitated for a moment, but exhaustion won over distrust. He handed Ethan to Jennifer, who immediately adjusted the baby's position, cradling him against her chest in a specific way. "Hi, sweetheart," she whispered, beginning to sway gently as she picked up the bottle. "You're hungry, aren't you?" Ethan stopped crying for a moment, as if recognizing something familiar in her voice. Jennifer started humming a lullaby she had learned from her own mother, offering the bottle with endless patience. "Come on, sweetie, come drink," she murmured, lightly touching the baby's lips with the nipple. To Michael's astonishment, Ethan opened his mouth and began eagerly drinking the milk. The silence that fell over the table was almost magical. The baby nursed peacefully, his little eyes fixed on Jennifer's face as she continued humming the same soft melody. Michael stood frozen, watching the scene. The way Jennifer held his son, the tender way she spoke to him, the ease with which she had calmed him, it was exactly how Elizabeth used to do it. The same position, the same sweet tone of voice, even the lullaby was similar. "How did you do that?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Jennifer smiled, still focused on the baby now nursing contentedly. "Babies can sense when we're nervous," she explained. "They need calm and reassurance. Your Ethan is a smart boy, he was just scared." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, take a moment to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now back to the story. When Ethan finished nursing, Jennifer placed him against her shoulder and gently rubbed his back in circular motions until he burped. The baby was completely relaxed, his little eyes heavy with sleep. "There, now you can rest easy," she said, handing Ethan back to his father. Michael held his son, who remained calm and drowsy, and looked at Jennifer with an expression of gratitude and wonder. "I don't know how to thank you," he began. "It's been 3 days since he last ate properly." "It's normal when babies go through changes," Jennifer replied, smoothing her uniform. "They feel everything happening around them." At that moment, she realized what had just happened. For a few minutes, she had forgotten the pain in her chest, the loss that had haunted her. Taking care of Ethan had awakened a part of her she had tried to keep buried. Michael noticed the shift in her expression, as if a shadow had crossed her face. "Do you have children?" he asked without thinking. The question hit Jennifer like a punch to the gut. She lowered her eyes, feeling the familiar tightness in her throat. "I need to get back to work," she said, trying to maintain her composure. "I have other tables to attend to." "Wait," Michael stood up, still holding Ethan, who slept peacefully. "How can I reach you? I mean, in case I need help again." Jennifer looked at him, then at the baby in his arms, and felt her heart tighten once more. "I work here every day, from 2 to 10 in the evening," she replied. "Section 2. Michael nodded, watching her walk away between the tables of the Riverside Grill, one of the most upscale restaurants in New York City. There was something about the way she had cared for Ethan that unsettled him. It wasn't just competence or experience, it was something deeper, more visceral. The next day at 3 in the afternoon, Michael returned to the restaurant. He specifically requested to sit in section 2, where Jennifer worked. When she approached the table, Ethan was calm in his high chair, but Michael could sense the tension in his own body whenever feeding time came around. "Good afternoon," Jennifer greeted, trying to maintain her professional demeanor. "Today's menu has some new additions." "Actually," Michael interrupted, "I came because..." Ethan was fussy in the car. "I thought maybe you could..." Before he could finish, the baby began to whimper. It was a quiet sound, but one Jennifer recognized immediately. "He's hungry," she said without hesitation. "May I?" Michael handed Ethan to her again, and once more the miracle repeated itself. The baby calmed instantly in Jennifer's arms, accepting the bottle without resistance. "It's incredible," Michael murmured, watching the scene, "as if he's known you for months." "Babies are smarter than we think," Jennifer replied, focused on Ethan. "They know who has experience." "Were you a nanny?" Michael asked curiously. Jennifer hesitated before answering. "Something like that." Over the following days, Michael developed a routine. He arrived at the restaurant at the same time every day, requested table 7 in section 2, and invariably needed Jennifer's help to feed Ethan. The baby had clearly grown dependent on her presence. The other restaurant staff began commenting on the special customer who came in daily. Jennifer tried to keep her emotional distance, but it was impossible not to grow fond of little Ethan, who always smiled when he saw her approaching. It was on the Thursday of the second week that Barbara Thompson, Michael's mother-in-law, decided to accompany him to the restaurant. Barbara was a 65-year-old woman, elegant and intimidating, the owner of one of the largest construction companies in the country. She had raised Michael after the early loss of his parents and saw him not just as a son but as her heir and responsibility. "So this is where you've been coming every day," Barbara remarked, observing the sophisticated ambience of the Riverside Grill. "Ethan's gotten used to the place," Michael explained, adjusting his son in the high chair. "It's one of the few places where he stays calm." Barbara arched an eyebrow but said nothing. When Jennifer approached the table to take their order, the tension in the air became palpable. "Good afternoon," Jennifer greeted with her professional smile. "How can I help you?" "We'll have the executive menu," Barbara said without taking her eyes off Jennifer. "And sparkling water." Michael noticed his mother-in-law's cold tone, but before he could intervene, Ethan started to whimper. Instinctively, Jennifer stepped closer to the high chair. "May I?" she asked, directing the question to Michael. "Please," he replied, relieved. Barbara watched silently as Jennifer picked up Ethan and soothed him with her usual ease. The baby stopped crying immediately, nestling into her arms as if it were the most natural place in the world. "It's time for his baby food," Jennifer explained to Michael. "If you'd like, I can feed him while you have lunch." "That would be great," said Michael gratefully. Jennifer brought a high chair and sat beside the table, patiently and lovingly feeding Ethan. The baby ate without resistance, playing with her fingers between spoonfuls. Barbara observed every movement, every gesture, every word. There was something about how this waitress interacted with her grandson that deeply unsettled her. It wasn't just the excessive familiarity for a stranger. It was how Ethan responded to her, as if recognizing a motherly figure. "Michael," Barbara said, when Jennifer stepped away to get more food for Ethan, "I need to talk to you about something important." "About what?" he asked, still watching Jennifer with his son. "About that." Barbara gestured discreetly toward Jennifer. "This situation isn't normal." "What are you talking about?" "Ethan is becoming dependent on that girl," Barbara explained, lowering her voice. "That's not healthy for a child." Michael turned to his mother-in-law, irritated. "She's helping Barbara. Ethan eats and sleeps better when she's around." "Exactly, and that's the problem," Barbara insisted. "You're letting a complete stranger become essential to my grandson's well-being." "She's not a stranger," Michael countered. She has a gift with children." Barbara studied her son-in-law's face for a moment and didn't like what she saw. There was something in his expression when he looked at the waitress that went beyond simple gratitude. When Jennifer returned to the table, Barbara watched her with renewed attention. The girl was pretty, That much was undeniable. She had that natural, effortless beauty some men found irresistible. More troubling, she had a familiarity with Ethan that painfully reminded Barbara of Elizabeth. "What's your full name?" Barbara asked directly. "Jennifer Miller, ma'am," she replied, sensing the coldness in the older woman's voice. "How long have you worked here?" 2.5 years. "And before that?" Jennifer hesitated. The question had an interrogative tone that made her uncomfortable. "I've worked other places," she answered vaguely. "What kind of places?" Michael noticed Jennifer's discomfort and intervened. "Barbara, she's working. She doesn't need an interrogation." "I'm just being cautious," Barbara said, but changed the subject. That night, after Michael left, Barbara stayed at the restaurant. She waited until Jennifer finished her shift and approached her in the parking lot. "Can I speak with you for a moment?" Barbara asked, stepping closer. Jennifer turned, surprised. The elegant woman stood alone beside a black Mercedes. "Yes, ma'am?" "I have a proposal," Barbara said, pulling an envelope from her pocket. "There's $5,000 here. It's for you to stay away from my son-in-law and grandson." Jennifer froze for a moment, processing what she'd just heard. "I don't understand," she finally said. "You do," Barbara snapped. "You're taking advantage of a vulnerable man who lost his wife to worm your way into his life." "I'm not doing anything like that," Jennifer protested, indignant. "I only help with the baby because you want to seduce the father," Barbara interrupted. "Women like you are all the same. You see a wealthy widower and think you've hit the jackpot." Barbara's words struck Jennifer like slaps to the face. She felt tears burning her eyes but refused to cry in front of this woman. "You don't know me," she said, her voice trembling with anger. "You know nothing about me or my intentions." "I know enough," Barbara retorted. "Take the money and stay away from my family." Jennifer looked at the envelope with disgust. "Keep your money," she said. "I don't need it. And I certainly don't need you." Barbara watched Jennifer walk toward the bus, her face hardening. If money wouldn't work, she'd find another way. The next day, Jennifer arrived at work to find Karen, the restaurant manager, waiting for her. "Jennifer, I need to talk to you," Karen said, looking uncomfortable. "Did something happen?" "I've received some complaints about your service," Karen explained, avoiding direct eye contact. "Complaints?" Jennifer was confused. "From who?" "Influential customers," Karen replied vaguely. "They said you were being inappropriate." "Inappropriate how?" Karen sighed, clearly reluctant to continue. "Look, Jennifer, you know I like your work, but I got a call this morning. A very important client of the restaurant didn't feel comfortable with how you got involved with her family." Jennifer's stomach dropped. Barbara had made good on her threat. "So, what does that mean?" "I'll have to move you to the graveyard shift," Karen said, sounding genuinely sorry. "It's temporary until things settle down." The graveyard shift meant working from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m., serving only truckers and night workers. It was practically exile within her own job. "Karen, please," Jennifer pleaded. "I need this shift. I have responsibilities, bills to pay." "I'm sorry, Jennifer, the decision's already made." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, back to the story. That afternoon, when Michael arrived at the Riverside Grill with Ethan, Jennifer wasn't there. Another waiter served their table, but Ethan started crying the moment he realized she was gone. "Where's Jennifer?" Michael asked the waiter. "She was moved to another shift, sir." "What shift?" "Graveyard." Michael tried to calm Ethan down, but the baby cried inconsolably. Other customers began to glance over impatiently, and Michael had no choice but to leave the restaurant. For 3 days, Michael returned to the Riverside Grill at the usual time, hoping Jennifer would be back. Ethan grew increasingly restless, refusing food and sleeping poorly. Michael tried other restaurants, other places, but nothing worked. It was Anthony, the waiter who had taken over Section 2, who finally told him about Jennifer's new schedule. "She works from 2 a.m. to 10 a.m. now," Anthony explained. A sudden change. No one really understood why. That night, Michael drove to the restaurant with feverish Ethan in his arms. The baby had barely eaten in 2 days, and Michael was desperate. The Riverside Grill in the early hours was a completely different place. The lights were dimmer, the crowd made up of night workers, and a few people who seemed to have nowhere else to go. Jennifer was serving coffee to a trucker when she saw Michael walk in with Ethan. Her heart raced when she saw the baby's condition. He was crying weakly but persistently. "Michael," she hurried over. "What happened?" "He hasn't eaten in 2 days," Michael said, desperation in his voice. "I've tried everything, but he only wants you." Jennifer took Ethan into her arms and felt how warm he was. "He's running a fever," she said, worried. "When was the last time he ate anything?" "Yesterday morning, just a little." Jennifer took Ethan to a table at the back of the restaurant and asked Anthony to bring warm water and a clean diaper. Carefully, she removed some of the baby's clothing to lower his body temperature. "We need to take him to the doctor," she said. "But first, let's try to get him to eat something." Over the next hour, Jennifer patiently worked with Ethan. She hummed softly as she offered him small amounts of sugar water, then warm puree, then milk. Gradually, the baby began to accept the food. "How did you do that?" asked Michael, watching Ethan finally relax. "Mom always said babies can sense when we're nervous," Jennifer explained, still gently rocking Ethan. "The more desperate you get, the more agitated he becomes." Michael looked at her with renewed attention. "You mentioned your mother. Did she teach you about babies?" Jennifer lowered her eyes, feeling the familiar ache in her chest. "She taught me a lot of things," she replied vaguely. "And you? Do you have experience of your own?" The question hung in the air for a moment. Jennifer kept rocking Ethan, who was now dozing peacefully. "I had a son," she finally said, her voice barely audible. Michael's heart raced. "You did?" "Joshua," she said, her voice breaking as she spoke the name. He's not with me anymore." Michael didn't know what to say. The pain in Jennifer's voice was palpable, and he immediately understood why she was so natural with Ethan. "I'm so sorry," he said sincerely. "He'd be about Ethan's age now," Jennifer continued, silent tears streaming down her face. 2.5 years since he passed." Michael felt a tightness in his chest. The way Jennifer cared for Ethan, her natural ease, her maternal instinct, it all made sense now. "That's why you're so good with him," he said. "You know exactly what he needs." Jennifer simply nodded, unable to speak. When Ethan was completely calm and fed, Michael made an offer that would change everything. "Jennifer, I want to offer you a job." She looked at him, surprised. "What kind of job?" "As Ethan's nanny," he said. "He needs you, and I need someone I can trust." Jennifer hesitated. The offer was tempting, especially given her situation at the restaurant, but something troubled her. "I can't," she finally said. "Why not?" "Because it wouldn't be proper," she explained. "You're a single man. I'm a single woman. People will talk." "Let them talk," Michael said. "What matters is Ethan's well-being." "And your mother-in-law?" Jennifer asked. "She's made it clear she doesn't want me around." Michael stared at her intently. "How do you know about my mother-in-law?" Jennifer realized she'd said too much. She came to speak to me," she admitted. "What? When?" "The night she came to dinner with you. She offered me money to stay away from both of you." Michael flushed with anger. "She did what?" "And she had me move to the overnight shift," Jennifer added. "That's why you haven't seen me the past few days." Michael stood abruptly, still holding Ethan. "This isn't going to stand," he said firmly. "Barbara has crossed the line." "Michael, please," Jennifer pleaded. "I don't want to cause trouble between you." "You're not causing any trouble," he said. "The trouble is her refusing to accept that I have the right to make my own decisions." Michael left the restaurant determined to confront Barbara, but first he took Ethan to the pediatrician. The doctor confirmed the baby was dehydrated and stressed, but would recover quickly with proper care. Over the next few days, Michael returned religiously to the Riverside Grill during the early hours. Ethan was recovering, but still relied on Jennifer's presence to eat properly. It was during one of these visits that Jennifer shared more about her story. "Joshua was born when I was 25, she began, while feeding Ethan his bottle. His father left me when he found out I was pregnant." Michael listened in silence, sensing how difficult it was for her to talk about it. I worked 3 jobs to support us, Jennifer continued, cleaning in the mornings, sales in the afternoons, and dancing at night in a club. Michael didn't judge. He saw only a mother who had fought to give her son the best. Joshua was my life, she said, her voice breaking. Smart, affectionate, full of energy. He loved it when I sang him to sleep. What happened? Michael asked gently. Jennifer took a deep breath before continuing. Pneumonia, she said. It happened so fast. 1 week, he was playing in the park. The next... She couldn't finish the sentence. Michael reached out and touched her hand in a comforting gesture. Is that why you moved to New York City? I couldn't stay in Newark, she explained. Everything reminded me of him. I came here to start over, but I never fully got past it. And when you see Ethan, it's like Joshua is there for a few moments, she finished. I know it's wrong, but I can't help it. In that moment, Michael understood that the connection between Jennifer and Ethan went far beyond professional competence. It was a mutual emotional need, helping both of them heal deep wounds. The next morning, Barbara showed up at Michael's office unannounced. We need to talk, she said, walking in without ceremony. About what? Michael asked, though he knew exactly what it was about. About this obsession you've developed with a waitress? It's not an obsession, Barbara. It's a necessity. Necessity? Barbara laughed scornfully. Michael, you're a wealthy, successful man. You can hire the best nannies in the country to take care of Ethan. I've tried, Michael said. None of them can calm him down the way she can. Because you're letting Ethan develop an unhealthy dependence. Michael stood up, irritated. And I heard you offered her money to stay away. Barbara showed no remorse. I did what was necessary to protect my family. Your family? Michael raised his voice. Ethan is my son, Barbara. The decisions about him are mine. Not when you're being manipulated by a gold digger. A gold digger? Michael was losing patience. She refused your money and is working overnight shifts because of it. Exactly, Barbara said. She's playing the victim to win your sympathy. You don't know her, Michael shot back. You don't know what she's been through. I know enough, Barbara said, pulling an envelope from her purse. I had her investigated. Michael looked at the envelope in disgust. You did what? Jennifer Miller, 28 years old, originally from Newark. Barbara began reading. Worked as a dancer in nightclubs for 3 years before moving to New York City. So what? Had a child out of wedlock, father unknown. The child died due to medical negligence because she couldn't afford proper treatment. Barbara's words hit Michael like bombs. He knew about Joshua, but the details she revealed were too painful. Now, Barbara continued, she's using her frustrated maternal instincts to worm her way into my grandson's life. Enough, Michael snapped. I don't want to hear another word. Michael, you need to understand. No, Barbara, you need to understand. Jennifer lost a child. She knows exactly what Ethan needs because she's been through motherhood. That doesn't make her dangerous. It makes her perfect to care for him. Barbara realized she was losing the battle, but she wouldn't give up easily. Fine, she said coldly. But when this woman breaks your heart and disappears with a considerable amount of your money, don't come crying to me. That evening, Michael sought out Jennifer at the restaurant. He was determined to make the job offer again, but also wanted to clarify what he had discovered. Jennifer, can I speak with you privately? She nodded, leaving Ethan with Anthony for a few minutes. Barbara told me about the investigation she conducted on you, Michael said, getting straight to the point. Jennifer paled. She looked into my life? She told me about Joshua, about the circumstances of losing him. Jennifer felt her legs weaken. She sank heavily into a chair. What exactly did she say? That you lost Joshua because you didn't have money for proper treatment. Tears began streaming down Jennifer's face. Was it true? Michael asked gently. Jennifer nodded, unable to speak. My God, Michael murmured. Jennifer, I'm so sorry. That's why she doesn't want me near Ethan, Jennifer finally said. She thinks I'm dangerous because I couldn't save my own son. Michael knelt beside her chair. Listen carefully, he said, taking her hands. You weren't to blame for what happened to Joshua. And going through that doesn't make you any less capable of caring for Ethan. Quite the opposite. How can you say that? She asked between sobs. Because you know the value of every moment with a child, Michael explained. You know how precious it is. Barbara will never understand that because she's never lived through that pain. Jennifer looked into his eyes and saw only sincerity and understanding. Michael, I accept my offer, he said. Come work for me as Ethan's nanny. Not because I pity you, but because you two need each other. And your mother-in-law. Leave Barbara to me, Michael said firmly. It's time she learned I'm a grown man capable of making my own decisions. Jennifer thought for a long moment. The offer meant not just financial stability, but also the chance to heal the wounds she'd carried for 2 years. All right, she finally said. I accept. Michael smiled, feeling immense relief. But there's one condition, Jennifer added. What? I have a sister, she explained. Emma, she's 17 and she has special needs. She lives with me and I can't abandon her. Michael nodded immediately. That's not a problem, my house is big. Emma can come too. You don't even know what her condition is, Jennifer protested. It doesn't matter, Michael said. If she's important to you, she's important to me. Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now, continuing. The next day, Jennifer quit her job at the Riverside Grill. Karen was sad to see her go, especially after learning the real reasons behind her shift change. Michael picked up Jennifer and Emma from the small apartment they shared in Astoria. Emma had Down syndrome but was a bright and affectionate young woman who immediately took a liking to Ethan. He's beautiful, Emma said in her sweet, straightforward way. Can I play with him? Of course, Michael replied, smiling. You're both welcome in our home. The Thompson mansion was in an upscale neighborhood of New York City. It was far too big for 2 people, but perfect for a family forming in an unconventional way. Barbara was furious when she learned of Michael's decision. You've completely lost your mind, she said when she visited them on the first day. You brought 2 complete strangers to live in your house. They're not strangers, Michael countered. Jennifer is Ethan's nanny and Emma is her sister. And the girl, she has mental problems, said Barbara with disdain. Barbara? Michael was shocked by his mother-in-law's insensitivity. Emma has Down syndrome, not mental problems, and she's a wonderful person. Michael, for heaven's sake, Barbara insisted. You have responsibilities. You can't turn your home into a charity house. This conversation is over, Michael said firmly. Jennifer and Emma are welcome here for as long as they want to stay. The first few days went surprisingly smoothly. Ethan thrived under Jennifer's constant attention, gaining weight and developing normally. Emma turned out to be delightful company, always cheerful and helpful, but Barbara didn't give up easily. She hired Gertrude Müller, a highly qualified German nanny, and showed up at Michael's house unannounced. I brought a surprise, Barbara announced. This is Gertrude. She has 15 years of experience caring for children from prominent families in Europe. Gertrude was a middle-aged woman, serious and efficient. She spoke 5 languages and had certifications in first aid and child development. Barbara, I don't need another nanny, Michael said. Jennifer is doing perfectly fine. Gertrude can provide educational stimulation that a dancer never could, Barbara countered. The tension in the room was palpable. Jennifer felt diminished by Barbara's words, but tried to keep her composure. Maybe it's best if I look for another job, she said to Michael. Absolutely not, Michael said firmly. You're staying. But Barbara had a plan. She convinced Michael to give Gertrude a chance, just for a week, to see how Ethan would respond. If he prefers Jennifer, you can let Gertrude go, Barbara promised. Reluctantly, Michael agreed but insisted Jennifer would remain in the house during the trial period. On the first morning with Gertrude, Ethan cried almost non-stop. The German nanny tried every technique she knew, but the baby refused to eat or be comforted. It's just an adjustment period, Gertrude explained in her thickly accented English. Children need time to adjust to new caregivers. But by the second day, Ethan developed a respiratory crisis. He had been born with a slight predisposition to lung issues, and the stress was worsening his condition. Gertrude panicked when Ethan started making strange breathing noises. She tried to follow medical protocols, but Ethan thrashed in her arms, making things worse. It was Jennifer who stepped in. She took Ethan into her arms, and the baby immediately calmed down enough for her to administer the nebulizer treatment prescribed by the pediatrician. "How did you do that?" Gertrude asked, genuinely impressed. "He needs to feel safe first," Jennifer explained, keeping Ethan calm throughout the procedure. "When he's scared, his muscles tense up, and it makes breathing harder." The pediatrician, Dr. Richard Wilson, confirmed Jennifer had done exactly the right thing. "Children predisposed to respiratory issues need emotional stability," he explained to Michael and Barbara. "Sudden caregiver changes can trigger episodes." "But surely a qualified professional would be more suitable," Barbara insisted. Dr. Wilson looked at Ethan, who was sleeping peacefully in Jennifer's arms. "With all due respect, ma'am," he said, "technical skill is important, but emotional connection is essential. This baby has clearly formed an attachment to Ms. Jennifer. Breaking that bond now would harm his development." Barbara was visibly displeased but couldn't argue against medical advice. Gertrude was dismissed by the end of the week, and Barbara had to accept for the time being that Jennifer would remain as Ethan's nanny. But Michael's mother-in-law had other plans. She began a subtle campaign of sabotage, instructing Martha, the housekeeper who had worked there for over 10 years, to make Jennifer's life difficult. Martha, loyal to Barbara, who had hired her, started hiding clean bottles, moving diapers around, and creating small obstacles that made Jennifer seem disorganized. "I can't find the diaper rash cream," Jennifer would say, searching desperately. "How strange," Martha would reply innocently. "I just left it here." The problems were small but constant. Jennifer began to feel inadequate and questioned her abilities multiple times. "Maybe Barbara is right," she told Michael one evening. "Maybe I'm not the right person for this job." "Why would you say that?" Michael asked, concerned. "I've been making silly mistakes," Jennifer explained. "I can't find things, I forget where I put the diapers." Michael watched Jennifer carefully. Over the past few months, she had shown impeccable organization. The recent mistakes made no sense. It was Emma who unintentionally revealed what was happening. "Why does Mrs. Martha hide Jennifer's things?" she asked innocently during dinner. "What do you mean, hide?" Michael asked. "I saw her putting the bottles in the wrong cabinet," Emma explained. "And then she looked mad when Jennifer searched for them." Michael felt anger rise in him. He confronted Martha that same night. "Is it true you've been sabotaging Jennifer's work?" Martha tried to deny it, but eventually confessed under pressure. "Mrs. Barbara asked me to keep an eye on the girl," she admitted. "She said it was for Ethan's sake." "Martha, you're fired," Michael said without hesitation. "Mr. Michael, please," Martha begged. "I've worked in this house for 10 years. "And for 10 years you were an exemplary employee," Michael said. "But I can't accept you sabotaging an innocent person under Barbara's influence." Martha left the next morning, and Michael hired a new housekeeper, Mrs. Wallace, a 50-year-old woman who proved respectful and helpful to everyone in the house. Barbara was furious when she learned about Martha's dismissal. "You fired a loyal employee because of that intruder," she accused. "I fired an employee who was being disloyal to me," Michael corrected. "Martha chose to follow your orders instead of mine." "Michael, you need to open your eyes," Barbara insisted. "That woman is manipulating you." "The only person I see manipulating anyone here is you," Michael shot back. The tension between Michael and Barbara reached its limit when she made her lowest move. Barbara hired a private investigator to follow Jennifer and discovered she was attending regular medical appointments. "Your fling is pregnant," Barbara announced, barging into Michael's office with a folder of photos. Michael looked at the pictures showing Jennifer entering and leaving a doctor's office. "So what?" he asked. "So what?" Barbara was incredulous. "She's trying to trick you with a pregnancy so you'll marry her." "Barbara, you've lost your mind," Michael said. "First, Jennifer isn't my fling. Second, if she were pregnant, that would be her business, not mine." "Michael, open your eyes," Barbara shouted. "She's faking a pregnancy to get lifetime alimony." Michael looked at his mother-in-law with a mix of pity and disgust. "You know what I think?" he said calmly. "I think you're afraid." "Afraid?" Barbara laughed nervously. Afraid of what? Afraid that I'll find someone to love again, Michael explained. Afraid of losing control over my life and over Ethan. That's ridiculous. It's true, Michael insisted. You've grown used to being the only important female figure in Ethan's life. You can't accept that another woman might take that place. Barbara fell silent for a moment, and Michael realized he had hit the nail on the head. Barbara, I understand your concern, he continued more gently. You lost Elizabeth, who was like a daughter to you. You're afraid of losing Ethan too. Ethan is all I have left of her, Barbara admitted, her voice trembling. And you won't lose him, Michael assured her. But you need to understand that he needs more love in his life, not less. That evening, Michael decided to clarify the situation about Jennifer's doctor visits. Barbara showed me photos of you leaving a medical office, he said, getting straight to the point. Jennifer turned red with embarrassment. She took pictures of me? She hired a private investigator, Michael explained. Jennifer, if you're dealing with a health issue, I can help. Jennifer hesitated before answering. It's not a health problem, she finally said. It's therapy. Therapy? Ever since since he passed, I've been in therapy to cope with the grief, she explained. I've never been able to fully move past the loss. Michael felt a pang in his heart. And does it help? It did, Jennifer said. But ever since I started caring for Ethan, the feelings have gotten tangled again. Tangled how? Jennifer took a deep breath before continuing. Sometimes when I look at Ethan, it's like Joshua is right there, she admitted. I know it's wrong, I know it's not healthy, but it's not wrong, Michael interrupted. It's natural. My therapist says I'm using Ethan to fill the void Joshua left, Jennifer went on. And maybe that's not good for either of us. Michael took her hands. What you feel for Ethan is genuine love, he said, no matter how it started. What matters is that you care for him with dedication and tenderness. But what if Barbara is right, Jennifer asked. What if I'm being selfish, using Ethan to heal my own pain? Jennifer, we all use love to heal our pain, Michael said. I'm also using the affection you have for Ethan to heal the pain of losing Elizabeth. Michael, let me finish, he said. Do you think I haven't noticed how Ethan has changed since you came into our lives? He smiles more, sleeps better, is thriving. That's no coincidence. Jennifer looked into Michael's eyes and saw absolute sincerity. And you? She asked. How are you feeling? Michael hesitated before answering. For the first time in months, I feel like our house has become a home again, he admitted. Ethan has someone who loves him unconditionally, and I have someone I trust completely. There was something in the way he said, someone I trust, that made Jennifer's heart race. Michael, I need to tell you something, she said, gathering courage. What? I have feelings for you, she admitted, blushing. I know it's inappropriate, I know it complicates everything, but I can't help it. Michael was silent for a long moment, processing her confession. Jennifer, he finally said, I have feelings for you too. You do? Of course I do, Michael replied. How could I not? You brought light back into our home. You care for my son as if he were your own. You're kind, strong, brave. But I'm afraid, Michael admitted. Afraid I'm mistaking gratitude for love. Afraid of being unfair to you. Afraid of hurting Ethan if things don't work out. Jennifer nodded in understanding. So what do? We take things as they come, Michael said. Let our feelings develop naturally. No pressure, no rush. And Barbara? Michael sighed. Barbara will have to accept that I'm a grown man capable of making my own decisions. But Barbara wasn't willing to accept it so easily. Her next strategy was to try to discredit Jennifer socially. She spread rumors in the Thompson social circle about the inappropriate nanny Michael had hired. She talked about Jennifer Miller's past as a dancer, the loss of her child due to negligence, and her humble background. Barbara's friends, influential women in New York City society, began commenting on the situation. Michael Thompson is making a huge mistake, one of them said during a charity luncheon. Poor thing, he's still grieving, remarked another. He's not thinking clearly. Barbara is right to be concerned, agreed a third. These women know exactly how to manipulate vulnerable men. The comments reached Michael through co-workers and close friends. Michael, can I talk to you about a delicate matter? Asked David, his business partner. Of course. People are talking about your domestic situation, David said, clearly uncomfortable. What kind of comments? About the nanny you hired. They say she has a complicated past. Michael felt anger rising. Who's saying this? Michael, it doesn't matter who, David replied. What matters is that it's affecting your professional reputation. How so? Some important clients are questioning your judgment, David explained. They think you're not making sound decisions. Michael realized Barbara had taken her campaign to a professional level. David, I'll be straight with you, Michael said. Jennifer Miller is the best thing that's happened to my son since Elizabeth passed. If anyone has a problem with that, it's their problem, not mine. Michael, you need to be practical. No, Michael interrupted. I won't sacrifice my son's happiness because of gossip from people who know nothing about my life. That night, Michael told Jennifer about the rumors. Maybe it's best if I leave, she said sadly. I don't want to harm your career. You're not going anywhere, Michael said firmly. Barbara needs to learn to respect my private life. But if it's affecting your business, Jennifer, listen to me, Michael said, cupping her face in his hands. Money I can earn again, clients I can win back. But someone like you, that's too rare to waste. The following weekend, Barbara made her riskiest move. She organized a dinner at Michael's house, inviting influential friends and important clients, without warning him about Jennifer and Emma. Barbara, what is this? Michael asked when he saw dozens of people arriving at his home. A dinner to bring you back into society, she explained. You've been isolating yourself too much. Michael saw the trap. Barbara wanted to expose Jennifer and Emma to New York's elite in an embarrassing situation. Ethan is asleep, Jennifer said, approaching. But I can keep an eye out in case he wakes up. You don't have to, Michael said. You're my guest too. Barbara quickly intervened. I'm sure Jennifer would prefer to stay in her quarters, Barbara said with a fake smile. This kind of event might be uncomfortable for someone not used to it. Michael was about to respond when Jennifer touched his arm. It's fine, she said. I'll stay with Ethan and Emma. During dinner, Michael heard several snide remarks and indirect comments about his domestic situation. Barbara had clearly set the stage. Michael, I heard you hired a very young nanny, remarked Victoria Parker, the wife of an important client. Jennifer is excellent at what she does, Michael replied curtly. I'm sure, Victoria said with a sly smile. She must be very dedicated. Michael was losing his patience when he heard Ethan crying upstairs. A few minutes later, the crying stopped abruptly. Excuse me, Michael said, rising from the table. He climbed the stairs and found a scene that touched him deeply. Jennifer was softly singing to Ethan, who nursed peacefully in her arms. Emma sat beside them, making funny faces at the baby. Everything okay here? Michael asked. He woke up thirsty, Jennifer explained, but he's calm again now. Sleep like an angel, dream of love, Emma hummed in her sweet voice. Michael watched the scene for a moment and made a decision. Come with me, he said. Where to? Downstairs. You're part of this family, and it's time everyone knows that. Jennifer grew worried. Michael, you don't have to. Yes, I do, he said firmly. Michael carried Ethan downstairs, followed by Jennifer and Emma. The dinner paused as he entered the room. I want to introduce you to some very important people in my life, he announced. This is Jennifer Miller, who cares for Ethan as if he were her own son. And this is Emma, Jennifer's sister and part of our family. An awkward silence filled the room. Barbara was pale with anger. And Ethan, Michael continued, is the happiest, healthiest child he's ever been, thanks to the love and dedication he receives every day. Emma, oblivious to the tension, approached one of the guests. You're very pretty, she said sincerely. I like your necklace. Emma's simplicity and sweetness softened the mood. A few people smiled genuinely. "Thank you, sweetheart," the woman replied, touched. Ethan, in his father's arms, began babbling and reaching for Jennifer. She stepped closer, and the baby instantly calmed, drawing smiles from those around them. "He's beautiful," another guest remarked, "and he clearly adores you." "Ethan is a special child," Jennifer said modestly. Dr. Richard Wilson, who was among the guests, stepped forward. "Michael, I must say Ethan is unrecognizable," the pediatrician commented. "His development these past few months has been exceptional." "The credit goes to Jennifer," Michael said. "Not just to her," Dr. Wilson corrected. "Ethan is thriving because he has a stable, loving family environment. That's fundamental for a child's growth." The doctor's words carried scientific weight no one could dispute. For the rest of the evening, Michael kept Jennifer and Emma by his side. Some guests were genuinely warm, others kept their distance, but the message had been sent clearly. They were part of his life. Barbara was furious when the last guests left. "You humiliated me in front of our friends," she accused. "I stood up for my family," Michael corrected. "Your family?" Barbara laughed bitterly. "Michael, you've known this woman for barely a few months. And you've known Ethan since he was born, yet you can't even get him to stop crying," Michael shot back. "This is temporary," Barbara insisted. "This little infatuation you have with a waitress will pass too." "It's not just an infatuation, Barbara," Michael said calmly. "I'm falling in love with her." Barbara was stunned by his direct confession. "Michael, you've completely lost your mind." "No, Barbara, I found it again," Michael said. "For months after Elizabeth's death, I lived like a zombie." Ethan cried. "I didn't know what to do. Our home was a sad, silent place." "And now?" "Now Ethan laughs every day. Our home is full of life. Emma sings and draws, Jennifer cooks and takes care of all of us. For the first time since Elizabeth died, I feel alive again." Barbara realized she was losing control of the situation for good. "Michael, if you marry this woman, you'll lose everything," she threatened. "Everything like what?" "My support, my approval, my money," Barbara listed. Michael looked at his mother-in-law with a mix of sadness and determination. "Barbara, for years you've been like a mother to me," he said. "But if I have to choose between your approval and my family's happiness, I choose my family." Barbara left the house that night knowing she had lost the battle, but she wasn't ready to lose the war. Her next strategy was subtler and more dangerous. She discovered that Emma attended a rehabilitation center for people with special needs, and that the treatment was too expensive for Jennifer to afford on her previous salary. Barbara offered to pay for Emma's treatment, but on one condition: Jennifer would have to leave Michael and Ethan's lives. "It's a generous offer," Barbara said when she found Jennifer alone in the park where she took Ethan for walks. "Why would you do that?" Jennifer asked, suspicious. "Because I recognize that you love your sister," Barbara replied. "And I want to give her the best opportunities." "In exchange for what?" "For you to leave my son-in-law's life," Barbara said bluntly. Jennifer fell silent, pushing Ethan's stroller as she processed the offer. "Emma could have access to the best specialists," Barbara continued. "Occupational therapy, speech therapy, art therapy, everything she needs to reach her full potential." "And what happens if I refuse?" "Nothing," Barbara said. "But you know that on your current salary you won't be able to provide that for her." It was true. Jennifer earned well as a nanny, but specialized treatments for Emma cost a fortune. "I need to think," Jennifer said. "Don't take too long," Barbara replied. "Opportunities like this don't come every day." That night, Jennifer talked to Emma about the offer. "Mrs. Barbara wants to pay for my treatment?" Emma asked excitedly. "That's so cool." "But there's a condition, Emma," Jennifer explained. "We'd have to move away from here." "Why?" Jennifer didn't know how to explain the situation without hurting her sister. "It's complicated," she said. "Is it because of Ethan?" Emma asked with her sharp intuition. "How did you know?" "I see the way you look at him," Emma said. "It's the same way you used to look at Joshua." Jennifer felt tears burning in her eyes. Even with her limitations, Emma understood everything with striking clarity. "And I see the way Michael looks at you," Emma continued. He likes you, Jen. But maybe it's better for everyone if we leave, Jennifer said. Better for who? Emma asked. For you? For Ethan? For Michael? For them, Jennifer said. Michael's family doesn't accept me. But Michael does, Emma insisted. And so does Ethan. Isn't that what matters? Jennifer hugged her sister, moved by the simple wisdom of her words. Jen, Emma said, you already lost one son. Don't lose this chance to have a new family. But what about your treatment? I'm fine, Emma said. I have you, I have a good home, I have Ethan to play with. I don't need anything else. Jennifer decided to talk to Michael about Barbara's offer. She offered what? Michael was furious when he found out. Full treatment for Emma, Jennifer explained. Opportunities I could never give her. In exchange for you abandoning me, Michael said bitterly. In exchange for me not complicating your life anymore, Jennifer corrected. Michael took her hands. Jennifer, you don't complicate my life. You make it possible. But Barbara is right about one thing, Jennifer said. Emma deserves the best treatments. And she'll have them, Michael promised. I'll pay for it. Michael, you can't. Of course I can, he interrupted. Emma is part of our family. Taking care of her is my responsibility too. But it'll cost a fortune. Jennifer, I have enough money to give Emma everything she needs, Michael explained. And do you know why? Because you two have brought more value to my life than all the money in the world could buy. That night, Michael confronted Barbara about the blackmail. How can you be so manipulative? He asked. I'm protecting my family, Barbara defended herself, by blackmailing a young woman who just wants to take care of her sick sister. Michael, open your eyes, Barbara pleaded. This woman is using you. First, it was the baby who needed care. Now it's the sister who needs treatment. What's the next convenient need going to be? Enough, Barbara, Michael said, losing his patience completely. Enough with the lies, enough with the manipulation, enough with interfering in my life. Michael, no, he interrupted. You've crossed every line. You tried to bribe Jennifer, sabotaged our home, spread rumors about us, and now you're using Emma's disability as a weapon. I only want what's best for you and Ethan. No, Barbara, you want control, Michael said. You can't accept that I'm happy with someone you didn't choose. That's not true. It is, Michael insisted. And now I'm making a final decision. Either you accept Jennifer and Emma as part of this family, or you're out of our lives. Barbara was shocked. You're giving me an ultimatum. I'm making a choice, Michael corrected, and I choose the happiness of my true family. Barbara realized she had lost for good. In a final act of desperation, she faked a heart condition during the argument. My chest, she groaned, clutching her heart. I can't breathe. Michael panicked and called an ambulance, but it was Jennifer who cared for Barbara until the paramedics arrived. Breathe slowly, Jennifer instructed, holding her mother-in-law's hand. Try to calm down. Why are you helping me? Barbara asked between gasps. Because you matter to Michael, Jennifer replied simply. At the hospital, the doctors confirmed Barbara had suffered an anxiety attack, not a real heart issue, but the scare was genuine for everyone. I'm sorry, Barbara said to Jennifer when she returned from the hospital. I'm sorry for everything. You don't need to apologize to me, Jennifer said. You need to make things right with Michael. You could have left me suffering, Barbara said. After everything I did to you. I'm not that kind of person, Jennifer replied. And besides, Ethan needs his grandmother. Barbara looked at Jennifer with new eyes. For the first time, she saw past her prejudices and recognized the genuine kindness in this woman. You truly love my son-in-law, Barbara said. I do, Jennifer admitted, and I love Ethan as if he were my own son. And Emma is my responsibility, Jennifer said. I'll never abandon her. Barbara was silent for a long moment. Jennifer, can I ask you something? Of course. If I promise to accept you into the family, will you promise not to keep Ethan away from me? Jennifer smiled. Barbara, Ethan needs all the love he can get. I'd never try to keep him from you. It was in that moment Barbara finally understood. Jennifer wasn't trying to take anyone's place. She was simply trying to give love and receive it in return. I'd like to get to know Emma better, Barbara said hesitantly. She'd love that, Jennifer replied. Emma is a special girl. She has so much love to give. Over the following weeks, Barbara made a genuine effort to get closer to Jennifer and Emma. She discovered Emma was a talented artist, creating drawings and paintings full of life and color. She has a real gift, Barbara remarked, looking at a painting Emma had made of Ethan sleeping. She's always been artistic, Jennifer said proudly. Since she was little, she's expressed everything through art. Barbara also began to notice how the house had changed with Jennifer and Emma's presence. There was laughter, music, the smell of home-cooked meals. The mansion had transformed into a real home. It was during Ethan's first birthday that everything fell perfectly into place. Jennifer had planned a small, intimate party, recreating traditions Elizabeth had written down in a journal Michael kept. She made sure to include every detail Elizabeth had imagined for this special day. "How did you know about the chocolate cake with strawberries?" Michael asked, moved. "You showed me Elizabeth's notes," Jennifer reminded him. "She wanted it exactly like this." "And the music?" "It was her favorite song for Ethan," Jennifer said. "You told me once." Michael realized Jennifer wasn't trying to replace Elizabeth. She was honoring her memory while creating new ones. When Ethan blew out the candle, with help, he babbled his first clear word. "Mama," he said, looking straight at Jennifer. The silence in the room was electric. Tears streamed down Michael's face, and even Barbara was visibly touched. "Ethan," Michael said, kneeling to his son's height, "Jennifer takes such good care of you, doesn't she?" Ethan smiled and repeated, "Mama." At that moment, Michael knew without a doubt that this was his family. "Jennifer," he said, standing and taking her hands, "there's something I've wanted to ask you for a long time." "What?" Michael knelt before her, pulling out a simple yet elegant ring from his pocket. "Will you marry me?" Jennifer was speechless for a moment, looking at the ring, at Michael, at Ethan happily playing in Emma's lap. "Michael, are you sure?" "I've never been more certain of anything in my life," he said. "You, Emma, and Ethan are my family. I want it to be official." But your mother-in-law..." "She accepts you completely," Barbara interrupted, stepping forward. "And I'm sorry it took me so long to see the obvious." Jennifer looked around the room at the smiling faces of everyone she had grown to love. "Yes," she finally said. "Yes, I will." Michael slipped the ring onto her finger and kissed her as Ethan clapped and Emma cheered. "Now we're a real family," Emma exclaimed. "We always were," Michael said, embracing them all. "I just took a while to make it official." Months later, the wedding was an intimate celebration in the mansion's garden. Ethan served as the ring bearer, carried by Emma, and Barbara stood as Jennifer's matron of honor. "Thank you for teaching me that family isn't defined by blood," Barbara said during the toast. "It's defined by love." At the reception, Emma gave Michael and Jennifer a special gift, a painting of the whole family together, with Ethan taking his first steps between Jennifer's and Michael's arms. "When I painted this, Ethan wasn't even walking yet," Emma explained, "but I knew he would soon." And that's exactly what happened. During the newlyweds dance, Ethan let go of Barbara's hands and took his first wobbly steps toward Jennifer and Michael. The moment was magical. Ethan walking toward his adoptive parents as the whole family watched in joyful awe. "He's walking toward love," Barbara remarked, tears in her eyes. 2 years later, Jennifer was pregnant with their second child. Ethan, now nearly 3, was a bright and affectionate boy who called Emma Aunt Em, and had developed a passion for art, influenced by his aunt. Barbara had become the family's biggest advocate, using her social influence to create a support program for working mothers in vulnerable situations, inspired by the strength Jennifer had shown. "How many women like Jennifer are out there?" Barbara Thompson would ask during the program meetings. "Strong, capable women who just need an opportunity." The Mothers Forward program became one of New York City's most respected social initiatives, offering professional training, psychological support, and job opportunities for women in vulnerable situations. Jennifer Miller continued her therapy, but now to process the joy of having a new family rather than just dealing with the pain of loss. Her therapist remarked on the impressive transformation she observed. "You haven't forgotten Joshua," the psychologist said, "but you've learned that love doesn't run out. The more love we give, the more love we have to give." Ethan grew up knowing about Joshua, the little brother who became a star, who sometimes visited Mommy Jennifer's dreams. It was a healthy way to keep the memory alive without creating harmful fantasies. "Would Joshua like Daddy Michael too?" Ethan once asked. "I'm sure he would," Jennifer replied. "He'd like anyone who took good care of Mommy." The new baby, Olivia, was born in a private maternity ward, surrounded by all the love and care Jennifer couldn't give Joshua. Ethan was enchanted by his little sister, and Emma became the most devoted aunt in the world. "Now we have 4 kids," Michael joked, referring to Ethan, Olivia, and counting Jennifer and Emma as his big girls. 5, Barbara corrected. "You've adopted me too." The family had grown organically and naturally. The mansion that once felt too big for 2 people now seemed the perfect size to hold so much love. During Olivia's baptism, the priest commented on the unconventional family that had formed. "This family is proof that God works in mysterious ways," he said. "He brought together people who needed each other and created a home full of love." Michael looked around the church, seeing Jennifer holding Olivia, Ethan asleep in Emma's arms, Barbara organizing the party details, and felt immense gratitude. "Do you believe in destiny?" he asked Jennifer later. "I believe in love," she replied. "And I believe love always finds a way, even when it seems impossible. Especially when it seems impossible," Jennifer said, smiling. They were in Ethan's room, watching the boy sleep peacefully. From the crib beside them, Olivia made soft, contented baby noises. "Thank you," Michael said suddenly. "For what?" "For saving us," he said. "Ethan, we were all lost before you came." "Don't thank me," Jennifer said. "You saved me too." "How?" "You gave me a reason to keep living," she explained. "You gave me a new family. You gave me love when I thought I'd never be able to love again." Michael kissed her gently. "And now?" "Now we're just a normal family with a not-so-normal story," Jennifer replied. "Normal," Jennifer laughed. "Okay, maybe not completely normal, but we're happy, and in the end, that's what matters." From the other room, they heard Emma humming softly, probably painting another one of her canvases. Barbara had fallen asleep in the guest room, claiming she was too tired to drive home. In truth, everyone knew she simply didn't like being away from family. "You know what I find most amazing about this whole story?" Michael asked. "What?" "How it all started with you just wanting to help a crying baby," Michael said. "One simple act of kindness that changed our lives forever." "It wasn't just kindness," Jennifer admitted. "It was need. I needed that moment as much as Ethan did. And now? Now I need every moment," she said, "of this family, this life, this love we've built together." Michael held her tight, feeling both the weight and the lightness of being completely happy. "Forever?" "Forever," Jennifer promised. And as Ethan and Olivia slept peacefully, wrapped in the unconditional love of a family that had formed in the most unlikely way, Jennifer knew she had found her place in the world. It wasn't the place she had planned, nor the life she had imagined, but it was perfect just the way it was, because sometimes the best families are the ones we choose, the ones we build with love, patience, and dedication. And Ethan, the baby who had once cried inconsolably in an upscale restaurant, grew up knowing he was loved by 5 people who had found each other when they needed it most. He grew up knowing that family isn't just about DNA, it's about choice, about staying, about loving unconditionally. And they all lived happily ever after, in the simple yet complicated way real families do, with love, laughter, little arguments, big reconciliations, and the absolute certainty that they would always have each other, no matter what. The end. So, what did you think of this heartwarming story? Could you see how true love and perseverance can overcome any obstacle? Tell us in the comments which part was your favorite, and whether you think Jennifer made the right decisions. Don't forget to like this video and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other amazing stories like this one.